I'm back. Welcome back to Nature's Underground. This is Nature Boy 3000. And I'm happy to say that I'm bringing you another video today. And in today's video, very important topics, things that are going to be very relevant to you in your development as a person, things that are going to help you along your journey and just aid you in your mindset as we progress together. With that being said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It means a lot. We're going to keep this channel growing despite the turbulence we've been feeling for the past 6 to 8 months. Why do we tend to have more attention from everything around us when we're on NoFap? When we honor our disciplines and when we stick to the plan, right? We don't veer off, we don't do what everyone else is doing. But what's so beautiful about the warrior's path and just adopting good things into your life, that makes you a magnet for all things. This is one of the reasons I made this channel. It's one of the things that has taken up a lot of time for me meditating on. I've tried to really dissect why it is. And that's the beauty of these videos, is I like to just conversate and have an open dialogue as to why you think that, right? Because there is something very polarizing and just captivating about a man who's on his mission, right? To be clear, a lot of it comes down to something that I would refer to as a monk-like energy. When you hear people who are on NoFap, a lot of the times people like to say they're on monk mode, right? Well, what does that really mean? Well, what it really means is you're basically taking a look, taking inventory of all the things in your life and all the things that are no longer resourceful to you, right? A lot of the times, like 99% of the times in most people's lives, we have a lot of things around us that are not needed. A lot of things that only occupy bandwidth in our minds and weigh us down from being the bright stars we know we are, right? So when you think of a monk, how's his life? His life is very simple. Things are simpler, right? He just has his meals, he has his bed, he has his clothes that he wears. Otherwise, he spends his time going inward. He meditates a lot. He's out in nature. He's grateful. He takes it one step at a time, one breath at a time. He's not wondering where he's going to be in an hour from now, right? He may have structured his day, but he's not thinking about his future too much, and he's not thinking about his past. He's just enjoying what's right in front of him and what he's currently doing. He has few to no things that are draining his energy, right? So he's left with this really, really full cup. And he doesn't need anything more than that. That's the beautiful thing about a monk, is you'll never see a monk go up to you and ask you for money. You'll never see a monk cold approaching girls in the street, trying to take things from women, right? You never see that, right? But have you ever thought of why? It's because that is a man whose cup is full. And it didn't take money. It didn't take women. It didn't take material possession for him to realize that he has everything he needs within himself. Right? Now we're getting somewhere. Now you're starting to see the truth of what you really need and what you really don't. So in essence, we have monk mode, right? So this can be applied to us in a way where, yes, it can fulfill your egoic desires to get what you want. But bigger than that, it can make you realize what you're made of and what you can accomplish in this life if you just have enough will, discipline, and gratitude, right? People tend to look at you more. People tend to start conversations with you out of the blue, like for no reason. They just want to go up to you and talk to you. because you just seem more approachable. You seem more open to everything. If you're really after more attention from women, more attraction, better interactions with people, more self-love, just feeling better in your own body, you're after the energy, right? And one of the quickest ways to get that energy is through sheer stillness. That's what I found. What does a monk do all day, right? He sits still and he listens to his mind. He's aware of his surroundings and he simply observes. You get that way through voluntary isolation, right? You isolate yourself with the intention to improve and to come back to your true self, right? You're creating space so that you can find yourself and be authentically you, and that's really cool, and that's really attractive, and that's everything that you probably want. You have every distraction, noise, phone application, notifications, your own physiological egoic drives and needs getting in the way of that stillness. You're gonna have a lot of excuses to not do this. You're going to have every excuse to keep being the same person and not change and not grow and not improve. You have every excuse because everyone else is using the same excuses. It's really easy for you to do the same. And even for me, right? I was trapped in a cycle myself recently, right? And it took a declaration to myself. And that declaration has always been NoFap, right? What more difficult challenge can a man undergo than foregoing one of the simplest pleasures that he could probably have, which is an orgasm, which is release. For others, it's a lot of pornography, right? But everything that revolves around sex. What happens if we stop all that as men, right? Because right now, what's stopping you from being a monk and having that monk mode style NoFap and really just isolating yourself and becoming the best version of you is the fact that there's way too much distractions steeped in hypersexualized culture. So you can't get away from it. You can't get away from the chains wrapped so tight around you. So you need to force yourself out of it, right? You need to take a break from looking at women, right? It all stems at the core, it stems up here, bro. It stems with how you're looking at women, right? We need to change that, right? Sure, admire them, look at their beauty. Sure, they're beautiful women, right? Respect women, have virtue around the embodiment of a woman, right? Everything that she stands for, everything that she is, love that. But don't push it any further than that, right? You need to retrain your brain because right now you associate women with way too much of a pedestal for one, right? Because you deem them so rare and valuable and worthy of everything that you put them on a pedestal above you. And due to your conditioning by such a hypersexualized culture, you also see them as, in your subconscious, you probably don't think this, but sex objects, right? You just see them as something to obtain, something to get and take. But that's not it at all. So what I'd advise you to do is to, when you see that attractive girl at the gym, right? When you're just out and about and you see attractive women, do your very best. Challenge yourself to not look like every other man would. You know how men try to be slick about it too, right? They walk by and then they just kind of look and they're very aloof. Don't even do that. Don't stop playing those games, right? You have to try to become as pure as you possibly can. That's where it starts. It's purity, right? You have to, because any inkling, any just little sniff of that energy, of that little, like you getting all horny and just, thinking about it, say, wow, like I'm only human. Like, you, come on, challenge yourself. You don't have to always be thinking about that, right? You don't have to always be chasing those biological drives in your nature. You are above that. You have the capacity to transcend your lower nature. It's already equipped within you. You just have to get still enough and train yourself to let go of it. And as it comes full circle, as it always does, right? As it always comes full circle. I remember a quote saying, when man renounces nature, nature gives that man everything. I'm paraphrasing that, but you get the idea. When you let go of that which you desire the most, I need it, I gotta have it, I'm only a man, please. It's like, nobody wants to help that man out, right? But it's the guy who doesn't need it. The guy who's got that sparkle in his eye. And he's here to serve. He's here to serve himself. He's here to grow something beautiful. And he wants to have the purest mind, the purest soul, the purest body. Work to that. Work for purity. Try to get as clean energy as you can and see what starts to happen in your life. See how your life starts to change. When you work for purity, when you work for cleanliness of energy, see what happens, right? You don't get excited about it like I do because you don't understand. You have to truly understand. Your life is not going to change until you change the behaviors that are making your energy dirty and yucky and nasty and repelling everything that you want. Everything that you want is going to be so much harder to achieve if you keep being the same nasty person, right? You have to cultivate good, heroic masculinity, very wholesome energy, clean energy, energy that knows where it's going and it's unashamed. But you have to cut out things. You have to isolate your mind. You have to isolate body and mind. You have to get away from the noise for a while, at least a month, 2 months, 3 months, as long as it takes. But you need to stay away from everything long enough to realize the beauty within, and that you don't need anything else, and that you're okay simply reading a book, being under a tree, under the stars, under the sun, with the water and the trees, maybe a few good friends, and that's enough, right? But it's this wanting, this ego that steps in. And I'm not discounting ego, trust me. There's a definite place for ego. We need ego to succeed in this life. It's a very crucial part of how all of this works. But you can't let it control you the same way your biological needs control you too. You need to let go of those things that keep you in a cycle of dirty energy, a cycle of dirty thoughts. Right? We need to cleanse that. And that's why I advise things like monk mode and NoFap, right? I advise voluntary self-isolation where you just go within for a while and stay away from toxic sources of things that just hold you back. Whether that's your phone, whether that's TV, whether it's your computer screen, you know what it is. Because when you do it, if you ask yourself, does this make me happy? The answer is probably no. And that right there, you know that this is not conducive to your overall growth and development as a human being who's on your journey. You need to let it go. You need to either let it go or you need to create lots of rules around that item, around that thing. You need to discipline it. You need to create boundary around that activity because it is not serving you and it is taking from you, right? So you need to discipline it, okay? So you have to remember, you can say all the positive affirmations you want. You can talk very highly of yourself, whatever you want to say to yourself. Positive self-talk is amazing, but it's the NoFap behind the thoughts that puts things into action, right? It's the declaration of NoFap that tells the universe that, hey, I really mean business, right? I'm giving this up to get this, right? To come back to who I truly am. I am willing to go without. But what, as I keep saying, when you go without, you actually get everything. Everything that of any real value, you actually get it.